What's going on, folks out there? Amos Morale III, joined by James Smith, NOLA.com, the times-picayune, and we are going to talk about recruiting today on the first ever edition of the Recruiting Rundown. Jimmy, topic that's on everyone's minds, especially after the early signing period, is going to be who's going to get those last few scholarships at LSU. So first off, tell the folks how many there are.
Yeah, I mean, as it stands now, there are 21 signed letters of intent received by LSU. Our Darius Washington, Evangel defensive back, still showing as a hard commitment, being that his paperwork wasn't sent in the early signing period. Not sure that'll hold up. So I'm anticipating there being 4 spots left. There's a hard cap at 25, so that's all they have.
All right, so those last 4 spots, obviously, it's going to have a lot of fans' attention. You know, who are some of the top targets for those spots?
Really, it's about addressing needs with these last 4 spots. Typically, LSU kind of has their defensive backfield already secured at this point. This year, it looks like a lot of their top targets are still remaining. Patrick Surtain, defensive back from South Florida, has an official visit scheduled for Alabama here in a couple weeks. Probably make a decision shortly after that. I don't know if he'll wait all the way to signing day, February 7th, but we're definitely at least a couple weeks away. And another guy that's very familiar to LSU fans, Kelvin Joseph. Been committed to LSU for some time, decommitted in October, opened things up. Alabama, Auburn has kind of come in a little bit, and so now he's just trying to sort through it. He sent out a tweet the other day that he was thinking about maybe ending it soon, which could be a good sign for LSU.
All right, and then obviously, you mentioned a lot of defensive backs for those 2 spots. Anybody on offense?
Yeah, I mean, wide receiver Jamar Chase, the big fish right now for LSU. They've been on this kid for some time, never really leaning in LSU's direction, but I think that has changed recently here. Schools like TCU seem to have fallen off. Florida seems to have fallen off a bit. He put out his top 3 recently of Michigan, LSU, Auburn. The only school out of those top 3 that have really been recruiting him hard for some time is LSU. I think they have the inside track here for the first time. I think they have a legitimate lead in his recruitment, which would be a powerful 1, 2, even 3 wide receiver combination with Terrace Marshall, Jamar Chase, and Keenan Jones.
And you talk about Keenan Jones as a guy that recently played in the Offense-Defense Bowl, really kind of showed off, just all the improvements of his game. He's a guy that you think has a really high ceiling. Yeah,
ton of upside with Keenan Jones, raw athlete. If I'm not mistaken, I think he was the triple jump champ last year in the state of Louisiana, something to that effect. Really, really good in the high jump, one of the best competitors in the high jump, long jump. I mean, this kid is just a really dynamic athlete. He's kind of a little raw in his development. I think he might take a year, maybe a redshirt year to kind of develop, but years 2, 3, 4 into his college career, I think he could be a dynamic pickup for LSU. And at that offensive-defensive bowl, he lined up against a big LSU target, Mario Goodrich from Missouri, kind of that could be that 4th guy here, I think. LSU really trying to address some needs. Looks like Dante Jackson's going to be leaving for the NFL. Kevin Tolliver is considering doing the same. So they really need to replenish that secondary, and Mario Goodrich could be that last guy in.
All right, and then lastly, obviously, you look at who they've got signed already. Keenan, you see him developing down the road. They know what they're getting in Terrace Marshall, who signed the dotted line already. What would they get if they are able to land a Jamar Chase?
I mean, a kid that could really contribute right away. He's got a fairly polished game for a kid that didn't really catch the ball much until the back end of his high school career. He's become a polished route runner, very sure-handed, can catch the ball in traffic, really dynamic after the catch. He turns into a running back. Really strong, powerful lower body, pretty elusive in space, and he's just a guy that's got a well-rounded game that I think physically he can withstand the punishment that comes from playing in the SEC and contribute early in his career. So it wouldn't surprise me if Jamar looks at 30, 40 catches his freshman year.
All right. Well, folks, that's about all the time we'll take from you today. Be sure and tune in next week for the Recruiting Rundown. I'm Amos Morale III. That's James Smith, and we'll catch you.